Hi everyone, this is Bree and Erica here.
Today we're going to be discussing why Christian leaders believed they did not need rhetoric.
To understand why these Christian leaders were skeptical, one must first realize that rhetoric was created by non-Christians.
Non-Christian leaders are also known as pagans. Pagans are persons holding religious beliefs other than those of the main world religion.
What initially sparked conflict and a rise in Christianity was the ascension of such a religion caused a decline in the teaching of rhetoric. Cyprian, an important early Christian writer, renounced oratory as a pagan practice and that rhetoric was a tool for the ambitious. He believed that this heathen tool was incapable of finding truth.
Christian leaders had the idea that church was built on absolute truth, whereas rhetoric was built on probability and contingent truth.
Major philosophical conflict existed because rhetorical theory brought out the means of communication, the Word of God, and based it on probability. Contingent truth was also being based on the premise that in the realm of human affairs, the truth is unknown, which is why pagans believed in the use of rhetoric.
In regards to Christians, the church believed that truth was already discovered and did not need to be persuaded.
What can we learn?
Persuasion was not the goal. Leaders felt rhetoric was unnecessary because they already had the truth, so there's no need for persuasion.
What kind of questions does this spark? What rhetorical approach is applied to Christian text scriptures or to the church fathers?
With rhetorical approach, accusation and subversion may follow in that emphasis on rhetoric may undermine faith and theological doctrine.
Learning from Plato. Rhetoric values the ability to persuade fellow citizens of importance for political and economic success. Consequently, there arose professional speechmakers in which several of them became famous as speechwriters and paid teachers.
Plato frequently criticized orators. He believed that these sophists passed themselves off as wise ones in order to win trust of an audience. He believed they claimed expertise on things they did not understand and encouraged his readers to be suspicious of rhetoric.
The irony of Plato was that Plato himself was a master rhetorician, although his real criticism is of those who aim to persuade without the concern for goodness or truth.
Comparison of skeptical Christians to the philosopher Plato. Contrastingly, while several of Plato's dialogues centered around a study of rhetoric, Christian leaders wanted a direct advocate of a disciplined study.
Similarly, both wanted to draw closer to truth, beauty, and ultimate goodness.
I know what you're thinking.
How will I ever learn all of this information?
We want to help you visualize and understand this concept in a fun way.
We're going to teach you using some visual aid.
We discussed why Christian leaders were skeptical of rhetoric.
So when we say the word rhetoric, just visualize the rhetoric rhino.
One thing we know for sure is that Rhetoric Rhino carries two things with him wherever he goes in his rhetoric red bag.
The idea of probability and contingent truth is what he carries.
Wherever you see Rhetoric Rhino, know that a pagan will most likely be leading him somewhere not wanted.
For example, somewhere where he is not wanted to be is church.
Why is Rhetoric Rhino not wanted by the Christian leaders, you ask?
Simply because Rhetoric Rhino does not fit through the church's ideal doors of absolute truth.
Of course we could summarize that one more time.
Just remember, when you're being asked about Christian leaders' views on rhetoric, the church says no to Rhetoric Rhino.
Created using Powtoon.